today I had a really great class with John again at Y2, and I got really inspired to continue this series. I started a couple of days ago with dreaming big and having the freedom to dream the dream, and I want to become a little bit more granular and more specific about how to access that that freedom, and also how to apply that freedoms into that big dream. So we started very high above, and now we're starting to get more refined and more refined. um, I I had the opportunity today to explore this concept on my mat, and how the idea of being energetically sovereign in claiming my responses and my power. And so I want to step back a little bit. When sometimes the what I understand, what I've understood through my relationships, my husband, my daughters, my family, and all my friends, is that all of them are giving me opportunities to own myself. And so there's just lessons that are reflecting back into my being. And when we lack that understanding, we don't know how to, or what the tools are in order to see the mirror in front of us that they're reflecting back into ourselves. And when we lack to see, when we don't see that reflection, this is where we put ourselves in most of the way that we give our energy away to others. Sometimes these are just very micro examples of that can happen to us. For me, sometimes it happens and shows up on my mat. So I'm gonna break it down a little bit. So I I have a practice that I've been cultivating for over 20 years, and so I become really skilled in my body and understanding my body. But with that also comes a lot of responsibility. And I'm going to break down responsibility is not the responsibility of the practice, but it's the response ability. The ability to know when to take on a really muscular practice, or when to really soften my practice, right? Depending on what I've eaten, if I'm sick, if I exerted myself the past week too much. Every day is going to be a different approach to the practice. However, I have this competitiveness and fire within, and I get caught up in that competitiveness sometimes. A couple of weeks ago, I showed up on my mat, and the class was really full. I'm here in Charlotte this week. I'll be back in the studio tomorrow, but I was practicing here in Charlotte, and the community has already really started to pick up again. And so the room was, it's pretty well attended class, and people that were around me. Well, let me just step it back. I went and I put my mat where there was space, and it was at the front of the room. I don't feel intimidated anymore about being at the top of the room, so I just set up my mat where it was. And then I understood, okay, this is a lesson right here. Once I start looking around the room, I'm like, okay, I recognize there's something here for me. And so as the class starts going, I'm just moving the way I know to move, and looking at my body, where I am. And I feel the person next to me, their energy is very high strong, and they have a practice where everything is to the nth degree, and whatever, maybe that's what they want to do. And again, that's their side, but it reflects something on my side, right? And my side, it tends to reflect into the competitive aspect, right? It's because I feel maybe less than, and so that pushes into that competitiveness. And so what happens if I do that, right? If I respond that way, I am giving away my energy to that interaction, to the lesson that it's trying to teach me. Well, it's trying to teach me to be energetically sovereign, to own myself, right? Own where I am in my mat, on my energy today, own my body and respect my body, and then apply all of the tools. Take a moment to think about or look at things more symbolically, rather than just, this is what my perception is, and just moving, and instead of responding, reacting. So I got to see it. I reflected back to me, and it caught me. I had to like do a little breath take. I'm like, oh, I'm being asked to really own myself here. So I changed the way I felt internally. To the person that's outside of me, they probably didn't see a difference, right? But it was all within my experience. I felt so happy when I finished that class because I felt that I had really owned myself. I felt that the time that I spend on my mat, it's way beyond the postures. It's about really reflecting and seeing how the entire room reflects on us, and there's lessons every time that we step onto our mats. And so the lesson is, it's about pointing direction back into us and back into our within our center. And that's just one example that we can do it. We can do it every day. We do it with our children. My children, my goodness, did they push the buttons of taking everything that I have away, right? And then it's like, how do we build a safe boundaries where I am not being giving all my energy, all my expenditure to them, while still being caring and loving and compassionate towards them. There's a balance. How do we learn those tools? How do we gain this wisdom to be open and to see our responses? How do we own ourselves? And so the practice that of the studio, what we do at the studio is part of that education, is part of showing tools to people, to our community, and how everything around us is a big lesson that we can start breaking down into little components so that we can become more skillful at how we experience life and how life reflects back to us. We have amazing opportunities at the studio. I want to talk a little bit about the room. If you're still a little bit shy about coming back into the studio, we're still limiting attendance to between 10 and 13 people. And the room has velocity, meaning we are not breathing stagnant air. The air is pulled completely out every 5 minutes, and it moves out of the room and is pumped into fresh air back into the room. So nothing has been recycled. Additionally, we also control the humidity. It's a big factor, 40% humidity. There's a lot of science behind it. You can look at it on our webpage. There's a science behind the humidity and the heat that make the room really safe, and we feel really comfortable practicing in it. All right, so opportunities for learning, self-study, and it's coming up this Friday. This is holotropic breathing. It's a 2.5-hour workshop. It's lengthy, but it has so much power in its transformational breathing technique that will help you connect to a higher level of consciousness, where you start to look into your subconscious and you can start to see maybe stored memories that you haven't been able to process, and start processing them and opening up kind of a perception more than we see in a regular interaction with the world. All right, so then we have opportunity to info sessions for the 21-day challenge. Hi, Lindsay, I miss you so much. For the 21-day challenge, that is coming up. It starts April 21st, but we're doing info sessions so that you can learn how to work the program. This is about dense nutrition, and again, another opportunity to own this energetic sovereignty. How do you make choices that are going to fuel your life for you, so that it's like putting on your oxygen mask, so that you can then do your work out in the world? It fuels everything that you do. It fuels your responses, and it allows you to be compassionate to others. There's ways, and there's a roadmap to follow. We want to show you the roadmap. In the info sessions, you can learn more about it. It's on our webpage. And then lastly, we have coming up, I am working with a local teacher here in Charlotte, Jonna Smith. She's a beautiful teacher, really strong Ashtanga practice. She is also Ayurveda teacher, and we're partnering to create a workshop for the studio. Following up after the challenge, so it will be like towards the end of April, so that you have tools to apply what you learned the challenge, and then keep that snowball going through the summer, and so that you look amazing and you feel amazing, and you can dance in the river at home. I don't know what else to say. I am so happy that you joined me, and I'm going to download this video. It'll be available on our page, and in a beautiful email breaking down everything that I talk about, this energetic sovereignty and owning ourselves so that we can serve the world. I hope that you have a beautiful Sunday, sun shining, and namaste. Bye, y'all.